This is your diamond insight of a balanced approach to the cyber crimes and cybersecurity's bills. The call by a civil society organization for government to withdraw the cybersecurity, cyber crimes and the anti-terrorism bills currently before Parliament is indeed an important reminder of the need for careful consideration and broad consultation when drafting critical legislation. While government has the responsibility to ensure national security and protect citizens from cyber threats and terrorism, it must also ensure that these efforts do not come at the expense of fundamental rights, democratic freedoms and the freedoms enshrined in the Zambian constitution. The civil societies have raised serious concerns that the bills, if enacted as they are, could undermine democracy and human rights. Specifically, the bill's provisions, which are often open to broad interpretation, could potentially give the government sweeping powers that may infringe on the rights of citizens, especially those of free expression and privacy. These rights are vital to a functioning democracy, and any legislation that compromises them must be subjected to the highest levels of scrutiny. One of the most compelling criticisms from the CSOs is that the bills have been introduced with insufficient public consultation. The civil societies are advocating for a transparent and inclusive process that includes the views of citizens, stakeholders and civil society groups who can identify potential pitfalls in the legislation and propose necessary amendments. The issue is particularly urgent in light of Zambia's recent history under the Patriotic Front administration, which was often accused of rushing through legislation without adequate debate or regard for its implications on civil liberties. The civil societies are rightly urging the UPND to avoid repeating this approach, and indeed what we saw in the 2021 elections, where internet was denied or shut down during an important phase of an election process. The right to free speech, the right to privacy and access to the internet, and the right to participate in the democratic process are not just abstract concepts, they are the bedrock of Zambia's democracy enshrined in our constitution. Therefore, any legislative action that threatens these rights must be subject to rigorous debate and modification, not just a swift passage through Parliament, especially that the proposed amendments give so much power yet again to the presidency. It is critical for the UPND government to heed the call for a broader public consultation, transparency and a more careful examination of these bills. Ultimately, laws aimed at ensuring the safety and security of the nation must reflect the values and rights of the citizens they are meant to protect. We urge the UPND New Dawn administration to take a step back, listen to the concerns of the CSOs and engage in a more inclusive process that takes into account the broader public interest. It is the same New Dawn administration, while in the opposition, that promised Zambians that it would repeal and replace the Cybersecurities Bill and Act of 2021, which they are doing, but sadly with lack of wide and inclusive consultations from citizens and stakeholders. Let us do the right thing before posterity judges us harshly.